All right, everyone. I'm sorry I'm not going to be there today, but I just want to go over what we're going to be doing in class. So, we're going to be dealing with square root functions for the most part. So, my handwriting on here is not great, so I apologize about that ahead of time. So, the goal today is going to be undoing a radical function, radical meaning square root, cube root, fourth root. So, to undo a square root function, we square both sides of the equation. And we're always going to need to use parentheses on the right side of the equation. So when I square a square root, those are inverse operations. They undo one another. So it's just going to simplify that to x plus 1. 5 squared is 25. This is a linear equation. I can subtract 1 to the other side and just get 24. X is equal to 24. And that's just a very simplistic way of doing this. So one thing that you're going to want to do on the very first page of the lesson today here, and you can write this up in the top left-hand corner. I'm going to just type it out in Word so it's easier for you to see. So there's 2 steps to doing this process today. Step 1 is get the square root by itself. Step 1 is get the square root by itself on one side of the equal sign, and I'll show you what that means. And then step 2 is going to be square both sides of the equation. And then you're going to solve from there. But those are the main 2 steps. Get the square root term by itself on either the left or the right side of the equal sign, and then square both sides of the equation. So if I come back to the lesson here, okay, so that's what this is really talking about. The key inverse relationship is taking a square root and squaring. So I want to work through question number 1 together with you. Again, my handwriting is going to be a mess. I'm going to do my best to, let's zoom in. Okay, so what I'm going to do here in number 1, the square root term is this. So my goal is to get this. Here's the equation, the equal sign. I want nothing else on this side of the equal sign except the square root. So I need to get rid of this minus 1. I need to get rid of this divided by 4. So to undo division, we're going to do multiplication. So I'm going to multiply both sides of the equation by 4. That's going to leave me with the square root of 6x plus 4 minus 1 equals 4 times x. Again, apologize about the handwriting. All right, same thing. I need to get the square root function by itself. You can see I still have the minus 1 to deal with, so we're going to add 1 to both sides. So we have the square root of 6x plus 4 is equal to 4x plus 1. At this point, step 1 is done. We've gotten the square root by itself, and now what we're going to do is we're going to square both sides. So we're going to square the left side. We're going to square the right side. We have to put parentheses here because we're squaring that binomial. On the left side of the equation, squaring a square root simplifies that. They're inverse operations, so this just leaves you with 6x plus 4. On the right side, squaring something means to multiply it by itself. So we're going to go ahead and use the tabular method here. 4x plus 1, 4x plus 1. And you know that we did this in the first unit. So you can pause the video here and multiply this out. 16x squared, 4x, 4x, and 1. So when I combine like terms, this is going to become 16x squared. 4x plus 4x is 8x plus 1. Okay, so we're right there. I'm going to have to delete this, so I have a little bit more room. Actually, let me try this. I might have a better solution. Let me do this. Okay, actually, I can do this. All right, so we have that. And now what I'm going to do, because this is a quadratic equation, I want to keep this term positive. And I need to get this equation set equal to 0 so that I can factor and solve it. So what I'm going to do here is subtract 6x and subtract 4 from both sides. Minus 6x minus 4. All right. So what that's going to leave us with is 16x squared (8 minus 6 is going to be plus 2x, and 1 minus 4 is negative 3. And this is going to be equal to 0. We're used to seeing 0 on the right side of the equation, so that's why I'm putting it on the right side instead of keeping it on the left. So that's what we have. 16x squared plus 2x minus 3 is equal to 0. All right, so I'm going to come back here, and let me delete this and rewrite what we have. Let me see if I can't zoom in to get this out of here. Okay, let me zoom in a little bit more. Okay, so we have, that's not helpful. There we go. So we have 16x squared, what did I say? Plus 2x minus 3 is equal to 0. First thing you want to check for GCF, there's no GCF. So 16 times negative 3, we need numbers that multiply to negative 48 that add up to positive 2. Okay, so I'm in the calculator, I'm going to do negative 48 divided by x, figure that out. My magic numbers are going to be negative 6 and positive 8. So this is going to turn into 16x squared minus 6x, we've done this before, plus 8x minus 3 equals 0. Then you're just going to group by GCF. So the first two terms, the greatest common factor is 2x. So you'd get an 8x minus 3. Remember, you need these two things in parentheses to be exactly the same. So this is going to need to be an 8x minus 3. So for the second two terms, you're going to factor out a positive 1. So this turns into 2x plus 1 times 8x minus 3 is equal to 0. Then what you're going to do, as we've been doing, set each factor equal to 0. So 2x plus 1 equals 0. I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. 2x is equal to negative 1. And then divide by 2. So x equals negative 1/2. And this other one, we're going to take that 8x plus minus 3, equal it to 0. I'm running out of room and I can't squeeze it. Okay. Add 3 to both sides. Again, apologize about the handwriting. Divide by 8, 3/8. So we have these two solutions. We do need to check them to see if we have any extraneous roots. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to do that.